Hi sociology students, this is the third short video that I'm going to make for you during week 8. This video might be a little longer than the other two short ones because we're going to talk about life chances. This is a concept I mentioned in the other two videos, and it's a really deep, important concept for you to grasp in this unit and just in the rest of your life. It's a very important concept for you to understand because it just helps us develop our sociological imaginations so much more thoroughly. There are major connections that we're going to make between micro scale life experiences and macro scale social structures when we examine this word very deeply. It's also key. Understanding life chances is key in your ability to be able to understand the differing styles of life that people experience in the different kinds of poverty that exist in the United States and throughout the world, because we're going to be looking into depth at the different kinds of poverty that exist in the US and around the world, and really to be able to differentiate between this particular life experience and that particular life experience, and whether it goes with this type of poverty or that type of poverty, because there's different types of poverty. It really comes down to the life chances that the individual we're talking about has access to in their lives. So, key concept to social stratification, life chances. I have a fellow's name written over here on the side of the board. His name is Max Weber. I've mentioned him a couple times in class up until this unit 3 that we're in right now on social stratification. He is the sociologist who is famous for coining this term, life chances. And we're going to talk about Max Weber a lot from here on out. So between now and December, I would bet that we're going to use his name at least once every single week in the concepts that we're discussing. So Max Weber is a very famous sociologist. He leaned toward the conflict theory, so he looked at social inequality as kind of his perspective, his viewpoint. And so he made notice of the differing styles of life that people had and the differing kinds of poverty that people experienced, and he coined this term life chances. So let's get to a two-part definition for this, and please let me emphasize, I think I mentioned this in a previous lecture, but let me emphasize that the definition that your textbook author uses, that's published in your textbook, it is a correct definition. It's a fine definition, but I need you to work with me on developing a deeper one. We're going to break down the definition the way that the textbook author writes it. We're going to break it down into two different components. It's going to be a two-part definition. You need both of these parts of the definition in, a good statement to explain things to me if I ask you to do that. So please write in the margin of your notes right now that don't rely solely on the definition that your textbook author has, because even though we're going to have some overlap to the words that are used, we're going to go deeper into it and get a more thorough understanding. Okay, so life chances. This term, compound word, is referring to the individual in his or her life experience and the ability for that individual to survive or to have advancement and enjoyment and comfort in life, or hopefully a combination of both. So that's why we have a two-part definition. Life chances are opportunities that individuals have in life within the social structure into which they are born. So the individual exists on the micro scale. The social structure really dictates the way in which their life is going to be allowed to go, the path that they're going to be able to take in life. So life chances refer to opportunities that individuals have for two different types of things. Two different types of things. One type of thing is the basic needs that the human animal has. The second type of thing is advancement and comfort opportunities. because I think, well, you might have actually heard it just now, my air conditioning cycled on and off. And air conditioning, let me tell you, is a comfort situation that I'm able to have in my life that makes my mind less stressed. Actually, it gives me better well-being in general so that I can focus on other things that either work toward my advancement or work toward my basic needs. However, really my basic needs, in the category of people to which I belong, my basic needs, and I bet you yours for the most part, are met on a daily basis. Okay, so here's why. This is what basic needs means. There's a key concept for you to understand here, and that word is subsistence. Subsistence is a very good college level word for you to add to your vocabulary so that you understand what it means when you see it printed or when you hear about it in another class. Subsistence essentially means survival from day to day. Basic survival from day to day. I don't mean the kind of survival that they do on Naked and Afraid. I mean the kind of survival that a human animal anywhere needs. We need food and water. We need drinkable water. This is going to be a key concept that's going to come into play when I'm explaining to you the different types of poverty later. So the kind of human animal that we are, our basic needs, of course we need oxygen. Okay, so let's put the oxygen out there first. So of course we need oxygen, but air quality is different from one place to the next. So we all need oxygen, but what is the quality of that basic necessity, right? That would have to do with your life chances, a roll of the dice, right? What's your air quality? Also, we need food, of course, but again, quality and access to food, expense of food. Food is a basic necessity for all human beings, but we have to pay for it. The structure of our economy is designed so that food costs money. And it seems to be kind of a radical thing to suggest that food is a basic human right. Should food be a basic human right since it's absolutely necessary for survival? You can't survive very long without food. And so we've got some basic needs here. Definitely we need oxygen. Definitely we need food. We need something called potable water. Agua potable. We need drinkable water because not all water is drinkable. Water is something that can carry contaminants, it can carry contagions, there's the word I'm looking for. It can carry little critters and bugs and amoeba in it very, very easily. Those things can make you extremely sick. So if you consume water that is not drinkable, agua potable or potable water, you might pull up at some gas station sometimes and there's a hydrant there in between the gas pumps and where you clean your windshield, and there often are little signs that say not potable. Or not potable, however you pronounce that word. But that means that you shouldn't drink it. So not all water is created equal, in other words, and so in order to survive from it on a daily basis, we have to have drinkable water. You and I are pretty darn spoiled. We have such drinkable water that most of us won't drink out of the faucet. Most of us buy water purifiers to put our water through, and sometimes we'll pay $2 for a bottle of water from a vending machine on campus, for instance, because we don't want to drink out of, certainly not in pandemic times, do we want to drink out of a public water fountain, for instance, or out of the faucet. So we have some basic needs as a human animal, and we have all of us have differing life chances to achieve these basic needs. Not all of us have the cleanest oxygen. Not all of us have access to the same amounts of money that can give us the same quality of foods or purity of foods. And not all of us throughout the world have the same access, have the same life chances for potable water. I am very spoiled. I can go into my bathroom here, turn on the water, wash my hands, wash my face, flush the toilet, take a shower. I've got all this access to water that I can put all over my body and consume, and it's not going to make me sick. It's part of the infrastructure that's offered in the USA that focuses on having a clean water supply. And so you and I are both very, very spoiled as far as that life chance, because not everybody has running water. Not even here within the United States does everybody have indoor plumbing in their homes. It's a basic need to have access to potable water, but did I say that the potable water had to come from your indoor plumbing? No. You just have to have a life chance to get it in order for your basic needs to be met, to have life chances for that basic need. If you take an old bleach bottle and go down to the 7-Eleven and fill up the bleach bottle with water at whatever source that they have coming out of the tap and carry it home with you, well, that's potable water because of the infrastructure that we have in the United States. So that worry that exists in a lot of people's minds around the world because they don't have infrastructure dedicated to clean water supplies, that's a constant worry. It's a constant problem. It is a deadly problem in a lot of situations because those amoeba I was talking about a minute ago, those amoeba can give you diarrhea, and diarrhea can dehydrate you very, very quickly. It does dehydrate you very, very quickly. And what you need when you're dehydrated is more water. But if your water is contaminated with the stuff that made you sick to begin with and you're just drinking more water, you gonna die. I don't know how YouTube is gonna handle that change of speech pattern there, but you are going to die is what that just said. If the caption was all monkeyed up because of my affected speech just then. Anyway, basic needs also include shelter. Some places you don't need shelter. My mother-in-law, great lady, she lives out in LA, and it's so much fun to go out there because the weather is always really consistent. It's beautiful, it rains very, very little, and there's a whole bunch of unsheltered people who live in Los Angeles. Unsheltered is a term that we should all use instead of homeless. It's the new word that we're using to classify homeless individuals, unsheltered people. And I like this concept of unsheltered instead of homeless because shelter comes in a lot of different shapes and forms. Shelter, your basic need for shelter could easily be satisfied in your pickup truck down by the river. There's some shelter that can keep the hailstones from hitting you if we have bad weather, or keep the rain off of you so that you stay dry and don't maybe risk cold or some kind of depressed immune system because your body is weakened from the cold. So shelter is a basic need for us in some cases. In Arkansas, we definitely need basic shelter, but in other places, you can get along very, very easily without the formal shelter that you and I, because of our socialization pattern, you and I might expect that shelter pattern to be like an apartment, a duplex, a condo, a house. There's another thing that YouTube probably can't spell when it's doing the caption, but shelter does not have to be the house, the duplex, the apartment. Shelter can be a tent if that's all you need. Shelter can be a raincoat if that's all you need in order to survive from day to day. So we have to zoom out of our micro scale life experience and our socialization process that taught us how to be us. And we have to know that there's a whole bunch of different ways of being throughout the world, different ways of building homes, different materials to build it out of, some of which are not permanent shelters. So anyway, this is one part of the basic needs of the life chances. My dog just stole my dry erase marker, and I'm going to go get it from him before his mouth turns blue. Be right back. Gunny. No Gunny. Oops. A little bit too late. Anyway, I'm not using the blue one anymore anyway, so thank you for that pause. Gunny. No Gunny. Spoiled. Okay, so that's one side of life chances, all right? So life chances has a two-part definition. It's opportunities we have in life for basic needs. That's one type. Remember, not all food is created equal, not all oxygen has the same quality, not all agua is potable, right? Not all shelter is brick and mortar or log home or something. And so you have to make sure that you understand the broad range of things that can satisfy what these basic needs are. It's called subsistence. Subsistence simply means survival from day to day. Okay, but this is a two-part definition. So I'm finished with this list of basic needs. If I was in the classroom with you right now, I would ask you, should anything else be on this list? And the answer is no. Your unlimited data plan is not a basic need for your survival from day to day. Your college education that you're getting is not a basic need for your survival from day to day. My air conditioning that cycles on and off, thank you God that I am able to pay my electric bill and keep it maintained, is not a basic need for survival. If air conditioning and electricity was a basic need for human survival, we all, our species, would have been extinct millennia ago. So those things, though, like electricity, like the indoor plumbing we were talking about a minute ago, like the air conditioning, like the college education, like the jobs that you're going to have access to once you have that college education, like the transportation that we have, like the infrastructure that we have that brings us agua potable to our households or to our school. These things are opportunities for advancement and opportunities for comfort. Now, I got into a heated debate with one of my colleagues one time because healthcare is listed in the definition of life chances according to the way that the textbook author writes the definition of life chances. I agree, having healthcare or a disease cure system is definitely a life chance. However, what I tend to do, and you can disagree with me if you want to, but what I tend to do is put healthcare and disease cure behaviors into advancement and comfort and this category. I hesitate to make it a basic human need in this list over here, especially when food, our basic human need, or air quality, another basic human need, is not a central focus of human rights. When not everybody even has potable water worldwide, and so the most common diseases that you see people dying from regularly throughout the world, over year after year after year, typically the top 10 diseases that the Center for Disease Control publish each year as being major killers, the World Health Organization publishes them also, the primary symptom of these diseases is diarrhea. So you might not necessarily see diarrhea as the leading cause of death worldwide. You'll see these disease names, but if you dig a little deeper and look at the symptoms associated with each of these diseases, like typhoid and cholera, etc., diarrhea is the main symptom caused by different bacteria, different amoeba, different things, so they have different names. But it comes from water sources not being potable, not being drinkable. So even if you have a wonderful healthcare system, but your water is contaminated and spreading disease to everyone, how is that healthcare system something that's going to help you survive on a daily basis if the pill that you're given you have to drink with contaminated water? So I put healthcare over here for another reason. We are, in the United States, when we get to Chapter 8, we'll look at global stratification, and we will call ourselves, in the United States, a high-income nation. Other terms for the kind of economy and the kind of status that the USA has in comparison to other nations. You might have heard industrialized nation or developed nation, first world compared to second world and third world nations. We will look at all of these different rankings of different nations and life chances of the people who live in those nations when we get to Chapter 8. But the USA has a lot of the things that we debate about that we see in the political system right now, a lot of the things that we are debating about are first world problems. For instance, let's look at healthcare for just a second, and I'm not going to talk about the coronavirus. I want to talk about elective surgeries, things like getting my nose fixed or having liposuction, getting some part of my body augmented or reduced. These kinds of surgeries are under our healthcare system, but these kinds of things are definitely not anything that people in underdeveloped or developing countries worry about. Their focus is more on, where is my drinkable water going to come from? Am I able to have a dime in my pocket to buy beans and rice for the week, and will it continue to feed all 12 of us for the whole week, the amount that I can get with that thin dime? So life chances is complicated, and I'm going into it a little bit more deeply than I even intended to in this video that's supposed to be very short. But advancement and comfort, I'm going to leave this blank on the board over here, because anything past clean air quality or just oxygen in general, if you don't have clean oxygen or good air quality, it's probably because you have a low ranking on this ladder, and the geography that is assigned to your category of people in that case is contaminated. We'll look at that kind of power structure. Food, not all of us have the ability to buy organic. It's really a luxury item, organic food. Have you noticed the difference in price from the canned food broccoli to the frozen food broccoli to the fresh broccoli to the fresh organic broccoli? Have you noticed the difference? Please make a field trip to the grocery store with your mask on and just make note of the difference of those things. Not everybody on the different rungs of the ladder in the United States, where it's based on income, occupation, and education, not everybody has the same access to purchase the same food quality as the next person. So food is a basic need. We need to fill our bellies, but what is the quality of that food? There's a life chance, right, that you can overlap. We do need to fill our bellies, but what kind of food are we filling it with, and will it result in different problems for us later if we don't have the best quality or the right kind of calories that our human body needs? And definitely, I've already described in graphic detail what can happen if your water is not drinkable. And so, and shelter, of course, is different descriptions of shelter based on different needs, weather-wise, geography-wise. So my electricity, my indoor plumbing, my car, my job, my unlimited data plan, my slow internet that I have to use to upload this video that makes it so late in the day by the time I release the link to you. All of these things are life chances for advancement and comfort on my behalf. What life chances for advancement and comfort do you have? And do each of these people on the different rungs of the ladder that we have in the United States, do each of these people have the same life chances for education, for instance? A kindergartner here compared to a kindergartner here that goes to the same school with the same teacher, do they have the same life chance for education as each other when we even the playing field and say they're at the same school with the same teacher and continue at the same school with the same teachers through 12th grade? Do they have the same life chance for education? We have to really wait before we answer that, because what is the style of life? What are the resources available to the child here and the child here? Which one of them maybe has Netflix and Hulu and other access to educational programming? Which one of them has access to maybe tutoring or extracurricular activities? Think about the resources in the home and how we can, as the caregivers, allocate those resources to children who are in their formative socialization processes. So it's really complicated, all of this stuff. Life chances has a two-part definition. Please make sure that you differentiate between basic needs and life chances for advancement and comfort, because there is a distinction there, and it's going to really be necessary for you to recognize that distinction when you're trying to identify the different types of poverty that we're going to go into for our lessons next week. Now there's going to be one more short video that I'm going to post in class this week. I'm not going to make it, however. It's going to be a short video about your social class, the class that you're born into, and the kinds of life chances that you get during your socialization process from the people who are in charge of your the formative socialization years, that is your family. Okay, so it's a short video. I think it's like 5 minutes long. It's an old-fashioned kind of video, but you don't have to listen to me or be interrupted because my dog stole some of my supplies. One more short video after this, and we will talk about it in our lectures together next week. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you on YouTube. Bye.